My name is Brother Bedford, and I'm a consultant and advisor to entrepreneurs, primarily Black entrepreneurs. I was asked a question, what is my superpower? And my superpower, ironically, is working with entrepreneurs, but helping them to discover their superpower, kind of like Nick Fury with the Avengers. Nick Fury has his unique talent, skills, and gifts, but his superpower is being able to arrange the Avengers and help them and put them in positions to be dominant and successful. So I'm kind of like the Nick Fury of entrepreneurs. I help entrepreneurs develop their superpowers, and then I try to guide them and help them to be in position to be extremely successful and conquer all of the obstacles and difficulties that may be in their business. And so that superpower, it took some time to develop. We have many talents, skills, and gifts, and it takes some time to kind of find out what is that unique thing that gives you that power to move things. And I've discovered that working with entrepreneurs, primarily Black entrepreneurs, where many of us have products and services we sell, but we haven't really discovered that unique thing that makes us special. And I've discovered that that's my power, to help other Black entrepreneurs to discover their superpower so that they can be successful. Let me set the stage for you. I want you to imagine performing in front of 10,000 people. And as soon as you close out your last song, Smokey Robinson goes into his set and he's opening up. And this is in front of 12,000 people off the waterfront in the city of Detroit. Then I want you to imagine performing in front of 14,000 people at a music festival. And then as you come off the stage, you have Natalie Cole, the Natalie Cole, look you in your face and say, baby, that was awesome. Opening up for Jodeci before Jodeci was Jodeci. Opening up for Joe before Joe was Joe, and Glenn Jones, and I can go on and on and on. That was my life in the mid to late 80s. Then I started promoting concerts, Gladys Knight, R. Kelly, started throwing pajama jammy jams with my celebrity and all of this type of stuff. So I want you to imagine all of that. And then a short time after that, being locked up for 3.5 years. The feeling of having yourself being respected and loved and admired by friends and family and the broader community who really thought you were going to be the next up-and-coming R&B star. And then just like that, getting mixed up with the wrong people, you end up in federal penitentiary. That was my first big challenge that kind of shaped who and what I am. So at that time, the artist known as B. Silky died, but then going into incarceration, Brother Bedford was born. And so that's why I began to sharpen my chops and study. I turned that period into my college university. In fact, those were my very words when I first went in. I said, this 3.5 years, I'm not going to sit here and pout. I said, people get a degree in 4 years when they go to college. So I'm going to take this 3.5 years and I'm going to study and develop myself. And even though I was doing some entrepreneurial things in the entertainment space, this is where it got serious for me. And I began to study and people began to give me books. And my love and passion for helping Black people to discover their entrepreneurial greatness, this is where it was born. And so after that time, that 3.5 years, I hit the streets running. I came out and started investing in real estate and building business, and people started asking me questions. Well, how are you doing this, Brother Bedford? Flipping these houses and doing all of these things. And that's how my consulting and advising career was birthed. Because now as I started practicing entrepreneurship and doing things of significance, people started asking me questions and I started advising and consulting. Then, of course, the transition happened from the real estate space into the online space, and I started interviewing successful Black millionaires because I figured if people wanted to hear from me, I know they would love to hear from Black millionaires who've been there and done that. And so my very first interview was with Dr. George C. Frazier. I'd called down to his office in Cleveland, Ohio, and the young lady was there, and she said, I don't think Dr. Frazier would be interested in giving an interview, because I had this bright idea that people wanted to hear from everyone. So I started an ebook series called Conversations with Black Millionaires. And so Dr. Frazier was my first interview. And she said he wouldn't be interested. But 5 minutes after I got off the phone with her, after she deflated my ego, after I realized that this stuff that I'm trying to do isn't working to the level that I thought it would work, Dr. Frazier called me. I could hear airport noise in the back. And he said, "Young man, this is Dr. Frazier, and I hear you want to interview me." And I said, "Yes, sir, Dr. Frazier, I want to interview you, but I can't do it like this." So we set up the arrangements where we used a free conference call system, and I interviewed him over the phone. And then that interview was a success. And then I interviewed Les Brown, Dr. Dennis Kimbrough, Kathy Hughes, and others. Now, I really want to make sure that you understand this. So even though I was growing myself as an entrepreneur, I became a student to those who were already successful. And I started taking their knowledge, their wisdom, their expertise, and making it my own. And that's when Conversations with Black Millionaires was born, and that's when this consulting and advising business was born. There are no two blades of grass alike. There are no two snowflakes alike, no two raindrops alike. Every blade of grass, raindrop, snowflake, leaf, it's all unique. It has its own unique identity and its own unique imprint that it makes on the planet. The lesson that I've learned in life, that just as there are no two blades of grass alike, there are no two human beings alike. And it's unfortunate that we don't realize that all of us have uniqueness in us. We have unique skills, gifts, talents, and strengths that nobody else on the planet has. People may have similar interests, similar ways of doing things, similar faculties, ways of thinking, and all of those different types of things, but there's nobody like you. You are totally unique. I am totally unique. And so the biggest lesson that I had to learn is that I didn't want to be a carbon copy of all of the celebrities that I once upon in my life that I shared stages with, or even in my business career, following people like Les Brown and Dr. Kimbrough. I had to realize that I couldn't be them. Their unique experiences, their gifts and their talents is specifically for them. But the light bulb, the moment that changed my life, was when I realized that I had my own unique talent, skills, gifts, and strengths. And so if there's one lesson that I share, this is the number one principle, it's the cornerstone of everything that I do with my community and everyone that I work with, all of my clients. I make sure that we start right there. Are you doing what you were born to do? Have you discovered your uniqueness? Have you begun to cultivate that, develop that, and then find ways to put that into the marketplace? Wrap that into something special that only you can do. If there's one lesson I really want you to take away, that I'm taking away and I'm growing more and more into it every day, is that we're all born with a unique talent, skill, gift, strength, and passion. And it is our duty to make sure that we go deep inside and discover that and then give that to the world. If I could have a conversation with my 21-year-old self, the first thing that I would tell myself is to slow down. At 21, I was living a life being around celebrities that most people dream of, and all of this is happening for me at 21. And it was that speed of life, that celebrity, that kind of made me derail myself. I think NDRE has a song, "Slow down, baby. You're moving too fast. You got your hands in the air with your feet on the gas." And that's exactly what was happening to me. And I careened and crashed and burned. And as I've alluded to many times before, I ended up spending 3.5 years in a federal penitentiary. So if I was having a conversation with my 21-year-old self, the first thing that I would ask them to do is slow down, brother. learn to be patient. Slow down and be patient, because you're going to have obstacles and difficulties. And that would be the second thing that I would make sure that I told myself, that life, being born, you're going to have problems. You're going to have difficulties. You're going to have obstacles. And your job and my job is to be able to navigate those difficulties and those problems and overcome those obstacles. The third thing that I would tell myself is that you have to begin to master yourself. I don't think that teaching comes to us as young men and young women. Sometimes we realize it when we're 40 and 50 and things start happening to us. But the earlier we can begin to understand that we must master our thinking, our emotions, the way that we respond to things. Because there's a bunch of people. When I was in the federal penitentiary, I watched 17, 18-year-old boys doing 20 to 25 years because of $3, $5. Emotions, quick to respond, being very proud and arrogant. So patience, along with what Shea Brown always likes to say, being humble and patient, knowing that you're going to have challenges and obstacles, and to learn how to deal with those challenges and obstacles and problems. And then third, begin to work on yourself as quickly as possible and begin to master yourself. Primarily your thinking first, mastering your mindset, mastering your emotions. And those things will begin to spill out into the actions that you take on a daily basis. And so 21-year-old self, follow those 3 principles. One of the big overarching ideas that I've embraced and that I love to share with people is that you must make your future bigger than your past. That's the only way to grow and to develop. Your future has to be so compelling and pulling you towards it that all of the experiences and pain and trials and difficulties that you've had in your past, they don't trap you. They don't pull you back. They don't become an albatross around your neck. And so for me, my next 25 years has been completely focused on helping Black entrepreneurs, but not in the way that we used to do it in the past with just guidance and instruction. I'm in the process of building a worldwide community of ambitious, talented, growth-minded entrepreneurs who want to master themselves, their lives, and their businesses. And we do this by exchange of ideas, resources, and knowledge and wisdom. And so for the next 25 years, and I think that this is going to be a model that's beginning to catch on now, but if you can really think about this for yourself, you want to begin to connect with like-minded people in community and have deliberative dialogue and conversations that begin to stretch you. It's called the mastermind principle. It's a mastermind concept. It's one of the things that Napoleon Hill talked about, and people attribute this to him. But this is really a universal principle that was long before Napoleon Hill. In fact, it's even scriptural based, right? Where there are 2 or more gathered, there I am in the midst of you. And then there's other scripture to say that where there's 4 of you, I'm the 5th. Where there's 5 of you, I'm the 6th. The principle is that when 2 people come together, one mind coming together with another mind, you begin to produce new ideas, new thoughts, and new concepts. And so when you take your unique self to that arrangement, to that environment, and others are bringing their unique selves, you always are producing new ideas, new things to grow you and develop you. And so that's where my future is. It's constantly being engaged in community, building power networks, and having these deep, well thought out conversations that spark new ideas and interests for all of us, not just myself. Now, there's one key element that really makes this possible that a lot of people miss, though. You can't come to these rooms or these environments being a taker. You have to flip the script and you have to want to go and give and serve. And we hear it all of the time, developing a servant's mentality and all of that. But it's easy to say, but hard to do because everybody wants to get something. So you have to develop the mentality and the spirit to be a giver. And when you do that, now you begin to develop these type of networks, these type of concepts, these ideas that help you to have a bigger, better, brighter future. So that's what my next 25 years is going to be about, helping people to do that. I get asked all the time, why focus on Black entrepreneurs? And here's a reality. Black entrepreneurs have a completely different set of problems than other groups. White people, Asian people, they all have their challenges in entrepreneurship as a principle. But our sojourn in America, and really throughout the world, has really put us in a position, a really unique position, where when we approach entrepreneurship and business, we have many things to overcome. And so most people, in realizing that, when they're stuck and frustrated and they're overwhelmed with trying to either raise capital or develop a product or service, that's when they seek out your brother, so that we can kind of help them to gain the clarity on what it is that they need to do. And as I've alluded to many times before, the first thing is, you can't be a carbon copy. You can't build your life and career vicariously through some of the other people that we see. I want to be the next Bill Gates or Warren Buffett. And that doesn't necessarily work for us, because you have your own unique skills that needs to be put into the marketplace. And so when people come to me, or when we kind of connect, because people don't necessarily seek out me, that's not really the way I work. We try to create an environment where we attract the right type of people, those who are talented, they're ambitious, and they're growth minded. If you have a fixed mindset, you're not going to work well with me, because I'm going to be pushing you, urging you, and stretching you, and causing you to think deeper than you've ever thought before, to kind of grow yourself and your company. And that's kind of a unique thing, because it's not just starting up something, opening up the doors and say, hey, I'm in business. The statistics are just alarming across the board with those who just do that and how they close their doors. Now, I want you to think about this. If you multiply that for Black people, it's worse. Every statistic that you can think of that is a general statistic about entrepreneurship and business, it's multiplied when it comes to us. And so we need a unique relationship with each other. We need unique conversations. We need unique ways to put our gifts into the marketplace. And so that's what happens when you experience Brother Bedford and what we do in what's called the Masters of Business. It's a community. We bring together talented, ambitious, and growth-minded brothers and sisters who want to share ideas, concepts, resources, focus on cooperation and collaboration instead of competing and comparing. That's the first thing we have to get out of. If you want to compete and compare, you're going to always struggle and suffer. But if you want to cooperate and collaborate, that's the future of business. And that's what we do. We gather brothers and sisters to do that, to share their uniqueness, come to the table, and let's cooperate and collaborate and grow our companies together. The thing that I've enjoyed most about working with Shay and the experience here with the making of an entrepreneur is that it really resonates with the core of who and what I am, and that is to draw out of other individuals things that they didn't know was in them. Their own uniqueness, their own unique talent, skills, gifts. And this experience is doing that for me. That's why you love being in an environment where someone is constantly pushing you, urging you, pulling on you, the best of you, to help you to bring out of yourself things that you didn't even know existed. And so this experience is world class, top of the line. When they talk about top shelf, this is top shelf. Been treated very well here. And I've always admired the work of Shay and his team, but there's nothing like watching the development of them along with the development of myself. And now we come together, and this has been a very unique and powerful experience that I would highly recommend for anybody who wants to begin to get their voice out and get their voice heard. The last thing that I'll say that I think is critical. Stephen Covey wrote The 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. He had another book, though, that was released right before he passed away, and it was called The 8th Habit. And the profound thing about The 8th Habit, it's about mastery. So the 7 habits gets you effective, but the eighth habit is where you develop mastery. And that eighth habit is when you find your voice. That's half of it. The other half of that eighth habit is that you have to help others find their voice. And so this is what this experience has been for me. Making an entrepreneur, the making of an entrepreneur, Shay Brown and his team, they found their voice. And now they're helping others to discover and find their voices. So I'm just thankful to be here. I'm your brother Bedford, and I'll see you shortly.